Okay, so we're gonna start our square. First thing we have to do is make a little slip knot. So I wrap the thread around, just scoop my finger through there. Boop. Just pull that little loop tight. Doesn't have to be, this can be whatever size, don't stress. Put your hook through there and just tighten it on. So this is our tail, and this is like our active thread that we're working with. So first thing we have to do for the center of our square, we're going to be creating the very first square right here. So this is like the little tiny middle square, and then after each color, we're going to be building around it to make our squares bigger and bigger. So the first square has a little circle in the middle that we work into, so that's what we're going to create first. So we are going to start by doing a chain of 4 stitches. So a chain is we just wrap it around and pull it through the loop that's on the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now we're gonna just make this into a circle. So the very first stitch that I made back here, I'm just gonna stick my hook through there. I'm going to do a slip knot. I'm just gonna slip through both of these. I can't think of the word right now because my brain is dying from being sick. So pulling this through. So now I've got a really small, awkward little circle. If you loosen it up, you should be able to see like your chain around in a circle. So this is what you want to keep track of, is this center of the little circle that you just made. This is our important working space going forward. Now we have to just make a little bit of height for our next layer. So we're gonna chain 2, I lied, we're gonna chain 3. 3. And now we're gonna create, each side of our square is gonna be a bundle of 3 double crochets, and each corner is 2 chain stitches. So we have to create 4 bundles for each side, and then there's gonna be 2 little chain stitches in between each bundle to make the corners. So we've just made our first bundle of our first side. This chain, when we start a new color / when we start the very first middle of our square, the very first thing, we always have to make this little chain every time we start a new color, and that chain counts as 1 bundle. So now I'm gonna do 2 more bundles of double crochet. So double crochet, we wrap before we start, we wrap, and we're sticking it through. Our working hole is the center of that chain that I was telling you to identify. So we stick it through there, then we loop around the thread at the back, boop, pull it through. So now we should have 3 threads. You take the middle thread and pop it over the hook. So now you should have 2 threads. Try not to let your tension get super loose or your square is gonna look a little crazy. And now wrap around one more time and pull that through both of these existing threads. So 1, 2. So now you should have just 1 on there, and now you've got that initial chain, 1 bundle, and the double crochet you just made, 2 bundles. So I'm gonna do 1 more. Hook it, pull it through, scoop it over, wrap it, pull it through both. 1, 2. Okay, so now I have 1, 2, 3, a little bundle of 3. So that's 1 side of my square. Now I have to make the corner. So to do that, I do a chain of 2. 1, 2. And now I make another bundle of 3 double crochets. This tail, don't stress about it. You can keep it out of the way, or you can kind of just like work around it. Two, 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 double crochets. That's my second side of my square. Now I need to make a corner, 2 chain, 1, 2. Okay, next side of the square. So another bundle of 3 double crochets. 1. Let's see if we can get this done before the kids get home. 2 and 3. 3, boom. Now we have one side left, so we've got to do a corner first, chain 2, and then our last side. So another bundle of 3 double crochets. So the trick is that you want to keep your square, the orientation of your square, kind of not from flipping around. That's what gets really confusing, I found, when I teach classes on the granny square, is that when people are just kind of trying to do all this, it's a lot of new things, and this whole thing's getting all twisted up, and that gets really confusing. So what I like to do is just always hold my square with one of my hands so that the square is always like snug here and it's not getting twisted around, and then I can very clearly keep track of my stitches and what I'm doing. I find that is pretty helpful. Hold on here. Okay, I just wanted to move in case this lighting is a little bit better as I'm realizing I'm working. This is the first time I've filmed at this desk. Okay, so I'm doing my last bundle of 3 and new angle, so maybe you can see this a little better if that was confusing. So I did 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, pull that over, 1, 2, and 1 more double crochet, 2, okay. So now you can see my square has one side, 1, 2, 3, chain of 2, 1, 2, 3, chain of 2, 1, 2, 3, chain of 2, 1, 2, 3. So last step here is I need one more corner to close up these 2 sides. So I'm going to do one last chain 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to join this chain into the start. This is like that first chain that we made at the very beginning. I'm just going to pop this in to the very top, the very first stitch that we had there, and I'm just going to do a slip, loop, pull those both over. Okay, and now I'm done with this color, so I can just cut that. I can pull that through that loop that I just left from where my hook was and pull it tight. And now let's assess our first square here so you can see what's going on. That's the center of our granny square. That circle was our first little chain loop that we made. And now we should be able, the most important thing is we should be able to see these 4 corners, because now that last round we were always working into the center. Now we're going to be working into these 4 corners. So that's what we need to identify for the start of our next color. Okay, so we're going to start our next color. One thing I did want to point out is that your granny square does have a front and a back side. So this is the side that, as I mentioned, keeping your square oriented towards you, like always holding it so it doesn't get twisted around. And one reason for that is so that you kind of have a back ugly side and like a front nice side. So the side that was facing us while we're working is this side. And you can see all these little like loopies here. And on the other side, see how everything lays a lot flatter in this area here? So that on you, I can show you a finished square for comparison. Obviously this has threads, so you can kind of gives it away, but see how this is the back and see how there's all these little loops everywhere? And this side is the front and everything is like nice and smooth. So that's what you want, is to have a nice side of your granny square. So you want to make sure when you start a new color that you don't accidentally flip your square and start facing the good side towards you. Then you won't have one good side. You'll have some bad stitches on the front and the back. So you want this loopy side on all of your colors always to be facing towards you. Okay, so now to start my next color, all I do is take my next color, I pick a corner to start in, any corner. I'm going to just loop the new color around there, pull it through, and I'm just gonna do a slip stitch. Now I'm just gonna drop my tail. There's my tail. I keep hearing children, but it's not mine, okay. And now I just do one more stitch, one more slip stitch just to get rid of, like, this will look normal after this, so one more. And remember, when we start a new color, we always do a chain of 3. So we've done 1, 2, 3. All right, and that first chain counts as the first of our bundle. So now what we're gonna do, the pattern moving forward, is every single corner is going to have a bundle of 3 double crochets, 2 slips, again, to make a new corner, and then another bundle of 3 double crochets. So each corner is going to have that inside of it. So this is 1 bundle, 2, 3. So that's 1 bundle of 3. So now I need to do 2 slip stitch, a chain of 2. Sorry, a chain. 1, 2. This is gonna make my new corner. So now my pink square that I'm building around it, each of these little chains of 2 is gonna be the next round of corners, which you can see if I show you a bigger one. So now let's see if I'm building this, it's yellow on this layer, but now see there's like a corner on the yellow layer, and that's what I make. I make a new corner every time I do those little chains of 2. And then I'm gonna do 1 more bundle of 3 in that same corner. Two, 1, 2, 3. And being able to figure out where you are in your granny square is really helpful. And that's what's nice about the granny square, is it's like really easy to follow. So you can see your corner there really obviously, and then you should be able to identify, you know, if you kind of lose track of how many bundles you've done. I can look here and I can see that's 1 double crochet, that's 2 double crochets, and that's 3. So I can tell that that's a bundle of 3. So if I forget what I just did, I should be able to just take a moment and look back. And since I'm working in these corners, it's really forgiving. It's not like when you're crocheting into like all of the previous stitches that you did. This is like easy to see, really easy to see what you've done. So this is the pattern for the second color. Every corner is gonna have a bundle of 3 double crochets, chain of 2, bundle of 3. So I just double crochet straight into the next color. I only do the chain of 2 on each corner to make a new corner. So I don't chain, I just go straight into the next hole when I'm jumping from one hole to the next. I just double crochet straight in there. That's 1 double crochet. So now I've got to do 2 more, chain of 2, and then another bundle of 3. And I'm gonna just jump into the next corner and do that and go all the way around. Okie dokie, so I just finished my second color, and you can see here what we've done. We've got, in each of our corners, there is a bundle of 3, a chain, new corner, a bundle of 3, jump straight into the next one. So that's the pattern on the second square. And now I'm gonna finish that off same way I finished off my first color. So I'm just gonna slip into the very first, that's our first chain from when we started our new color. So I'm just gonna find the top stitch there and pop my needle into there, boop, and then do 1 little wrap and pull that through everything. Okay, get rid of this color. And leave yourself enough that you can weave that in at the end. So don't cut it super duper short. Okay, so now every other color, no matter how big you make a granny square, follows the exact same pattern from now on out. So it's the same pattern we've been working with from the start, but there's 1 extra new detail that is the last new kind of add-on throughout the granny square. So now when I look at my, this new layer of square, and every other one after this, oh, excuse me, I'm so tired. You will notice that we want to identify those corners again, but you'll also notice that in that color that we just did, so we're focusing on pink, there's also a hole in between each corner. So that means that there's 3 working holes kind of on each side now, instead of just the corners like in the last layer. And every time we go up and add another color, there's going to be another hole. So on the next, when I do another color after this, there's going to be my corners and 2 holes. And then if I'd added another, there'd be corner and 3 holes. So the only difference in our work process here is that we have the exact same starting. We start in a corner, exactly the same thing we did last time. Bundle of 3 double crochets, a chain of 2, bundle of 3 double crochets. The only difference now is whenever we jump into the next hole, and if the hole is not a corner, if it's a middle hole, that hole only gets 1 bundle of 3 double crochets. And then we jump into the next hole. And if it's a corner, it gets 2 bundles with a chain in the middle. That is the pattern forever now. If I made a giant granny square, that's what I would do in every single middle hole. Middle holes only have 1 bundle of 3. So that's kind of the end. I'll show you one more corner and I'll jump into the middle hole just to show you. And then that's just our pattern until the end. So I've got orange as my next color here. So review, starting a new color. We just wrap our new thread around our hook. Pull it through. We got to start with a chain of 3, but we just wrap both of those threads over to start our new color. Wrap it and then drop the tail. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that, and remember when we start our new color and we do the chain at the very beginning, that counts as 1 bundle. So now 2 more bundles of double crochet. 1. And I can always slide things over just to keep the visual more clear for myself here. There's a man outside shouting at his dog. Okay, 1, 2, 3, chain of 2, 1, 2, and then 1 more bundle of 3 because we're in a corner. 2. I have the alchemy stuck in my head. I've been listening to the new Taylor Swift album and reactions for like the last week. Okay, so corner finished. 2 bundles of 3 with a chain of 2. And now the new step of our pattern, I'm going into the next hole, but it's a middle hole. So that means it only has 1 bundle of 3. So I double crochet straight into there. 1, 2, and 3. Made it. Okay, well, here, good example. If you make a mistake, just pull it out to the last stitch that you know you did. There we go. Restart that 3rd one. Sorry, I've filmed this literally 3 times now. I did a nice video at the studio and then I got sick and left my iPad there, so I filmed a little quick one for my students, and now I'm making another one because I need to have this finished for my 2nd class. So forgive me, I am just been granny squaring up a storm here, and also the video recording and the talking to myself is not the most natural thing for me. Okay, so that's the new step in the pattern. We did the corner, middle hole only has 1 bundle of 3. Double crochet right into that next corner, and then I resume with the pattern. Corner has 2 bundles of 3 with the chain of 2. Middle one only has 1. So I'm gonna finish that. That's the pattern. So then when I go on to do my last color, so on this one, ooh, do I have one that's the exact same? I do. Aha! Sorry. Okay, so when I'm done this, the orange layer, when I go to add my very last color, because our granny square patterns for the bags and the blankets that you're making with my kits have our granny squares with just 4 colors. So when I've finished my orange layer here, you'll find when you go to work on your very last color, whatever color that is for you, you'll notice that your corner has 2 holes in the middle, see? So then when you do your next color, you have your corners and then you have 2 middle holes in between each one. But same pattern, just 1 bundle of 3. Maybe I should show you the back for more consistency. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, corners, 1, 2, 3, chain, 1, 2, 3.